Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Bat Minutes Beyond Chunkz of the Joker. This is the podcast where we don't hush and we say many words specifically about Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker.
Too many words.
Chunk at a time. Many people have said that, yes. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
I am your other host, John Parker, and I will buy you a mockingbird for some reason. I don't know. Why would you want one?
Oh, do we get that song? That song's always bothered me, quite frankly. Like, it just seems like it's
the lyrics or
spoiling that kid rotten is what's happening. But anywho, they spoil a kid in this chunk. I tell you that. Jeez Louise. But as always, or as usually, because it's not always, but we're joined by guests. This chunk and transversing from very different but also very similar corners of the Movies by Minutes universe. We have all the way from Lord of the Rings Minutes, Norman Mitchell.
Happy to be here. Happy to talk about some Batman animated universe stuff.
Woo. Yeah, and returning from his role in the credits of last season. I always feel bad here. I was like, take a credit minute. There you go. You got something. But we've got all the way from the Matrix Minutes, one Phil Dragash.
Hello, good to be back once again.
Yeah, welcome. And you know what? Everyone has to do a credits minute at some point.
We all do, and we're all better for it, I guess.
Yeah. So it's the trial by fire of the podcaster Movies by Minute is like, you're going to have to do a credit minute, man.
Dare I say, I think they are sometimes the most fun.
Oh, yeah. I remember the 89 credits minutes been like, assuming like, this is going to be a disaster. And then afterwards been like, those were great. So,
yeah, I know. You can always pick out some names. You can see what they did and what they're up to, and there's this legendary credit in Spider-Man where this guy, I don't remember his first name. It was Joe Pancake.
Joe Pancake.
I don't know if you've ever heard the legend of Joe Pancake.
No.
Well, there's this. I think he was just like a production manager of some kind, and once people on the internet found out that his name was Joe Pancake, everyone was just searching all this information about him, seeing what he was up to nowadays and everything.
Amazing.
It's just great.
What a god. You know what? If I worked in the industry, I would just hire him on the name.
Right.
I'd be like, get me Joe Pancake.
So I remember that meme happened with for Phil Tippett. Because he was like
dinosaur supervisor,
and everyone's like, oh yeah, one job, Phil. But then it's also like Phil Tippett's like a legend though as well. Like people only know him from the meme now. It's like
I know, it's tragic, right?
Yeah. They had a whole episode at the Natasha Lyonne show, Poker Face, the one with Nick Nolte. That's all that character Nick Nolte's playing is just Phil Tippett. Like it's deliberately done in tribute to him and stuff. But now
amazing.
He's just dino supervisor to people. But yeah. It's like 30, 40, 50 years in the industry.
It's a massive tragedy. It's always something funny about, and what I love about you guys is that you bring up so many names and so many people from the film industry that even I haven't heard of, that you guys just talk about in passing as if it was common knowledge, which is crazy for me because, I'm very much interested in film and all that sort of thing. And so like kudos to you. And that's what I love about this podcast a lot.
See, the difference though is Niall knows it all off the top of his head, whereas I have to research it.
Yeah, I'd be the same.
Did you actually go through all the credits, Phil, or did you guys? Because the Lord of the Rings credits must be like an hour long each or something.
We did not. We just did. Once we got to the credits, we just did 5 minutes a week of episodes and just talked about final thoughts of the movie mostly.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, it would have been other movies, I'd be like, oh, come on. But with the Lord of the Rings, I'm like, no, that's fair enough.
Yeah, and also they have the fan club credits included in that.
Oh,
right?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, my God. That would actually, I think, finish you off.
It would.
But we're not at the credits just yet.
We're not.
No. We're at chunk 8 of Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, which opens with a sinister snicker from the shadows. And it ends a minute later with a chase.
A minute later?
Oh, the chunk later with a chase.
There you go. There you go. Caught ya.
You're too stuck in your ways, old man.
I find that too in writing the outros this season, because I'm so used to like, oh, you just tease a little bit of information, but I'm just like, what happens in the next chunk? Holy Christ, a lot happens in that next chunk.
Oh yeah.
So I gotta cover all this. Oh my god.
And I have to say, I'm so honored. Honestly, when I signed up, when you asked me to be on this podcast, again, thank you so much. I was really thinking, I'm gonna get one of those incidental 5 minutes. I'm not gonna get the flashback. That's the most infamous version, thing that happens in this movie.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I open my minutes and I see, oh, it's Robin. Oh wow. Oh, we got this one. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? We obviously love you two the most because this is one of the best parts of the whole movie.
Totally. And actually, I know, Norm, I think you've said that you regard this as being like the best of the Batman, like of the animated Batman films, like even above Mask of the Phantasm. You'd be like, nope, it's Return of the Joker.
Yeah, this is my favorite Batman animated film.
Wow.
I love this movie. I think I've also just always really liked Batman Beyond. I really like Terry as the Batman. Maybe because I just started watching Batman Beyond at the right age back when I was a teenager or whatever, and it's just like, oh man, this is what a cool world and a twist on like the Batman cartoon that I was watching like 5-6 years before this as a younger kid. And so I like this movie a lot, and I think that I don't know, I just think it's a really interesting character study of like who Terry is and what being Batman means to him.
Yeah.
I'd
say that's actually like a good way I'm starting to frame it in my head. Is that like Terry throughout the show he's Batman and that like without the article. He's just like, oh, he's a guy who's saying he's Batman and he's doing Batman-y kind of things. But by the end of this film, he is the Batman. Like he properly takes on the mantle and stuff. He bests the Joker. Like he does
commits
the thing.
to it.
Yeah,
right.
He's doing his own thing. But he is now the Batman of Gotham. That's
right,
for sure.
Because that's always like a problem kind of with like these like legacy characters, especially when there's such a big time jump like there is with Batman Beyond, there's always going to be that comparison in the audience's mind to like, well, these villains aren't as cool as the villains that Bruce had to face. So like, what is this? Like he's never going to be as good. But this movie gives you an opportunity to be like, well, no, what's Terry look like against the Joker?
Yeah. And so no offense to Beyond the Show, because I love it, but like sometimes it is like, who's the villain this week? It's like it's a guy. He's like a hunter, and he's like he hunts like people, and it's like, so it's like Craven. He's like it's Craven. It's just Craven. Like I
think Batman Beyond riffed on Spider-Man quite a lot.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, I was gonna mention that for sure. I did feel there was some very big similarities thematically with Terry and
it's also
Spider-Man.
then too that like when they then brought in the next Spider-Man, he was also a guy dressed in black and red and it's like could turn invisible and stuff. It's like, wait a minute, this was like to flip it back on them and like, you're gonna rip us off, we're gonna rip you off.
But yeah, no, Batman Beyond is a really creative venture, and the fact that it wasn't originated in the comics speaks so much more to the creativity that they had developing this show, I think. And it's so funny how it feels a little bit that like Batman Beyond has never gotten its due. Right?
And, I'd say so. Yeah, it's still it's always it's the it is like the what they would say the red-haired stepchild of the DCAU. It's just like, oh yeah, that one show that was okay, huh? It's like, it was really
well. I think that's exemplified in the fact that I'd never really watched it because I was like, oh, that's that weird one. Oh, I don't want to watch that.
I thought it was strange for bringing you in for the flashback, Phil, because the Neo Gotham of it all struck me as been very in your wheelhouse. Like I thought you might have preferred to be able to talk some future Matrix-y kind of stuff, like very anime-esque kind of material.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What I find fascinating about Batman Beyond is I actually don't know what I find fascinating about it, but it is very fascinating because we're all familiar with Gotham City. We know how it looks like. We feel, the gritty, grimy, dark, Art Deco, grime of it all, and the fact that all these characters have lived with us for the past almost 100 years, if I'm not mistaken, and then to be, thrown into this new world that is, very, I don't want to say Blade Runner-esque because that's very that's everyone says Blade Runner. Oh, it's Blade Runner because it's, futuristic and has tall buildings and stuff. But to be able to just see a world like this and have, elements, and have it be Batman has always fascinated me, which is why it's weird that when people say, oh, it's just that weird Batman one, then I'm not going to watch it. I mean, come on, there's so much potential here.
Yeah. The world in
needs...
New Gotham is really interesting. And it is, I wonder how much of some of the look of this, it's very similar to The Matrix visually in a bunch of places. And I wonder how much of that is just a coincidence.
Yeah, because it was in development, I think, at the same time The Matrix was at least, released. But I think that they were working on it, I mean, when did Batman Beyond come out, actually?
It would have been 99.
Yeah, 99.
Yeah. So it has to be more coincidence than
I was always wondering too.
Maybe there was just something in the air, everybody was into this like near futuristic thing.
It's all very like I'd always go like, what else would be like the thing closest to it beforehand? It would have been like Aeon Flux, maybe people just very influenced by that at the time, and like it was kind of like, oh, it's kind of a cool underground show too, because it's like MTV, and it's like not your grandpappy ain't watching Aeon Flux. Like,
Yeah, like MTV, like MTV and the Sci-Fi Channel in the US were starting to air a lot of like sci-fi anime stuff in the mid 90s.
Okay, yeah.
So I wonder if that also like was influencing kind of the path of media in the late 90s too.
Yeah.
Had to be.
Although, in talking about all the futuristic stuff, it's kind of weird as it's like going into the flashback really feels like, oh, it's like putting on a nice pair of slippers. Like, it's really like, back to old school, like, I don't want to say the proper Batman, but it is kind of like, well, it's the actual proper Batman of like,
It's the one and are familiar with and comfortable with.
I always kind of wish that there was more Batgirl in the original animated series too.
I think that was part of their remit for the new Batman Adventures.
Yes.
Was bringing in like, oh, it's much more focused on Robin, much more focused on. There's actually a point about that I'll bring up when we get to like a little bit of the chunk, when you get to see Batgirl talking to those two. The ladies on the corner who kind of presumably they're ladies of the evening.
One of them looks like Black Canary.
That's part of the whole thing. Yeah, we'll get to it because that's part of the whole thing. That all links back in together about the focus of the studio being like, we want more Batgirl, we want more Robin and stuff. But to begin with, though, we do get something that's both familiar and also entirely new for this very moment. Was the Joker coming out, the old Joker, but this is the first time he's ever looked like this. Like this was the second redesign from BTAS.
Yes.
Was like, so they always had the disastrous black eyeball, white pupil, no lips variant.
Yeah, still a controversy to this day.
And people on YouTube now doing all edits where they're putting in like they're putting the eyeballs back on, they're adding lips to it, and it actually looks way better. Or they'll switch the black eyeballs over to the old BTAS Joker, and that kind of weirdly works as well. And it's like, they're just whatever weird nexus that design was.
Yeah.
Like, the elements are all there. It just doesn't work for that for some reason. But then they just sort of admitted that. And then then bringing the character back for the first time, in this venture, they're like, we're redoing him.
Yeah.
And now this Joker's permanently got... I guess, maybe there was some sort of photochemicals in the acid when he fell into it, because he's permanently got the red pupil thing that you used to get when people took photographs. So people remember that.
That's right. Yeah.
That's going back a while, isn't it? Remember that would like ruin most of your photos.
It would. It would be horrible.
I think it's just not a thing that anyone would ever think about anymore. I'm sure now there'd probably be like a hipstery thing where people you can put a filter that puts that on.
Oh my gosh, yeah, of course. We didn't even think about that. I was so glad to have it gone. In fact, I was so happy to have not even thought of the red eye situation until you brought it up, and it's been like flashbacks now going, whenever I scanned when I was a kid, I would scan photos and then they would have an automatic, on the primitive Photoshop or Photoshop elements or whatever. And I would do that so often because I hated it.
I guess they made
Although Joker here looks cool with the red eyes. I actually like this design in general. I think it doesn't look too dissimilar from the old.
I think this is the best design of the. Like, I love BTAS, but he was always very inconsistent in BTAS. Like the old, the Joker we had, Mask of the Phantasm. The amount of times he went off model with him and stuff, and there was always just something slightly off. But this is just like, this is perfect. Like, absolutely no notes, 100%.
I was gonna bring that up because he looks magnificent in this. He's very much more refined here, and I think they're taking elements from the new Batman Superman adventures and bringing that in a combination with the original animated series. And I think that combination it's perfect. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And the way he enters in our scene that we have with the glowing eyes kind of blinking in the darkness a little bit as he emerges. Hey, evil.
Perfect. Very Randall Flagg in the stand. That was one of those things. Always appearing in a silhouette, but with just red eyes poking out and stuff. And I did note, though, I don't think we brought it up in the last chunk, but like the red eye seems to be part of the Joker toxin as well. Bruce had the red eyes once when he had been Smilexed. So yeah, it's part of his whole thing is, again, not only is it giving you the big Rictus grin, it also gives you the photo. Maybe the Joker knows, like, oh, everyone really hates having those red pupils in photos. I altered my chemicals to make sure that everyone had them.
Good. That's a great. I love it. I love your impression. Wonderful.
Good. But yeah, and he emerges from the shadows and says, "A bird in the hand." Of course, the second part being is worth 2 in the bush. I guess so. Robin is the bird, and the 2 in the bush is Batgirl and Batman. I guess is if you had to, I did look in briefly. I don't know if anyone else did into the origin of the term. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
Wow, thorough.
It's not all that exciting because it's one of those ones that's like, this is a thing that came from back in the day. But apparently, this proverb has its origins in medieval falconry, where a falcon in the hand was more valuable than 2 in the bush.
What's in the bush mean?
I guess maybe the falcon is the bird, and then the 2 in the bush they have here in parentheses the prey. So I guess like but I just assumed they meant like, having a falcon that you have trained is worth more because it can do stuff for you than just
because you've got a falcon that's not like out wild.
Yeah, it's a falcon that can do you favors rather than just some asshole bird that you don't know.
That's got to be the quote there of the whole episode. Some asshole bird. That's how you're determining them, is it? Okay.
That's what the way that people described Chris O'Donnell's Robin was like, some asshole bird.
Some asshole bird.
And so we get after Harley body slammed him with that giant mallet. I love all the detailing in the animation for this next little bit because Batman doesn't say anything.
Oh, this is cool.
But you can feel his mood by like the fact that he's tearing ahead of Batgirl in all instances. Like, it cuts to them both swooping across the sky. He's way ahead of her because he's obviously on this.
He's just going to go. He's about to beat people up.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what he does. He says he goes out looking for Robin, but he's not looking for him as such. He's not looking. He's just beating the crap out of people. Right. Francis
just spends 3 weeks beating the out of people on the street.
Yes.
It's actually weirdly, there's one of the kind of notes in the production is that like they cut a shot from this. Where like he went to the Penguin as well. There's supposed to be a scene of him ruffling the Penguin's feathers. They cut that out for some reason, which is like, well, why would you do that?
It's not like there wasn't time. This movie's only 70 minutes long.
Yeah. I always
could have used an extra couple of minutes, to be fair. Put that in.
I wonder if they're doing something like this though. The Joker or any of the villains, would they ever think like, I can set up one of the other guys though to give myself some time. So like, if you like, I've abducted Robin, I'll leave a little riddle envelope there, and then Batman land on the top of Edward's name. I go, "Where's Robin?" He's like, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about."
Right? Setting up another villain feels more like a Penguin thing to do to me. I don't know why.
Yeah. I think Joker would only do it if he wasn't confident he could pull off what he's about to pull off with Robin.
Right.
But I think he's that confident in it. It's like, what are you going to do? He wants Batman to find out, in fact.
Yeah.
He wants him to know. He wants him to come.
Well, that's the thing because Joker's thing usually is like he always wants to. It kind of shows you, like, I guess his level of sort of skill and a form of genius in that, like, Batman always finds out as the Joker when he wants him to find out that it's him.
Yeah.
He's usually trying to brag that it is him. And the fact that he can keep Robin hidden for 3 weeks and then Batman only figures out it's the Joker when he goes, "It's me, asshole."
Right?
Yeah. Well,
you brought up an interesting point there, for me at least. 3 weeks, right? He's missing for 3 weeks, which, Jesus, that's a long time for a kid to be missing.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Now,
Whenever Bruce, did he put the picture on the milk cartons or anything? Or
well, that's the thing, right? Like, outside the world of Batman, the superhero aspect of this, shouldn't Bruce Wayne be, like, calling the cops?
That's a good...
Won't people be like, where's
That's
that,
a good point, huh?
young ward disappeared to? Would Bruce Wayne call the cops?
When you see Batgirl talking to what ostensibly looks like a freckled Selena Kyle and Black Canary.
I've literally got that on screen right now.
Yeah. She's showing them a picture. Is she showing them a picture of Robin, or is she showing them a picture of Tim Drake? Or is she showing them both going like, have you seen Robin? No. Have you seen this kid? It's like, who's that kid? Is that kid Robin?
No, there's no relation between these two. There's two missing kids.
Completely unrelated to missing children that I'm looking for.
Right.
Did they go
I
missing
think
together?
seeing the pictures
maybe.
of them side by side would ruin the illusion of the domino mask too.
It's like, wait a minute.
So, but rewatching some episodes of the Tim Drake Robin, and part of his disguise is like he puts on the mask and then he just like ruffles his hair a little bit. This is like, oh, seamless. No one else. Robin has messy hair. Tim Drake has combed hair. It's not the same kid at all. What are you talking about?
We've all seen that meme, I'm sure, about Zooey Deschanel.
Yes.
Where she changes her hair and takes the glasses off. It looks like a different person.
Yeah.
It genuinely does. It made me buy into the Superman thing. I'm like,
Yes. Yeah. I was going to say, I always have to argue with people whenever they're always going, oh, but everyone's going to know Clark Kent is Superman. It's just so obvious. And I'm glad that there's so many people who actually experimented on that. And
Yeah.
I think there's videos on YouTube and so on and so forth, trying to, debunk the fact that it's obvious.
Plus, I always think with Superman, part of it's meant to be not just his appearance, it's his entire demeanor.
Yeah. That
Like
too.
when he's Superman, he's a completely different presence.
I think it's
yeah.
because then Grant Morrison really lent into all that too, and you get even like sketches from the Grant Morrison Superman run of showing like this is how Superman stands. And this is how Clark Kent stands. And it's just like
different.
It looks like he's like a heavier set guy. He's like really slouchy and he looks like Fred Flintstone or something. And then but Superman carries himself this way. And then all that stuff that went to Clark Kent's gut goes up into his chest and it's more bravado and stuff. And I was like,
If only I could do that.
but
and also cinematically, Christopher Reeve did a really good job with that. I say.
perfect, really. But as you alluded to there earlier, Norm, these two ladies of the evening. I'm just assuming by the dress, and maybe am I canceling myself by saying the impression is that these are streetwalkers, basically.
Yeah.
Streetwalkers.
Kind of goes into because didn't Frank Miller kind of do a version of Black Canary she worked in a bar, but she was also like a prostitute. Or Frank Miller loves his prostitutes. So
Man, Frank Miller.
yeah, and he also made Catwoman a
always something
prostitute,
with him.
of course, as well. So
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Not even surprised.
but
Nope,
I think
not at
that's-
all.
But apparently, so you're not wrong at all, Norm, in that looking into this, apparently at some point when the acclaimed artist Darwin Cook was doing the storyboards for the Batman animated show, they were supposed to do an episode that was entirely focused around Catwoman and Black Canary. It was going to introduce Black Canary. Eventually showed up in Justice League. She was voiced by Marina Baccarin, who of course is Nara from Firefly, and Leslie Tompkins from Gotham and stuff like that. So Marina Baccarin, big DC girl, also Deadpool's girlfriend in the movies as well. So she's walking between two worlds, that lady. But and the studio note was because at this point they'd switched over to like, I think this was even before they'd done the redesigns and stuff. But they had retitled the show "The Adventures of Batman and Robin," and one of their things was like they literally said to him, "Well, where's Robin?" And they're like, well, Robin's not in the episode. It's like, oh, no, we can't. Robin has to be in the episode. The kids they like Robin. Kids don't care about Robin. They don't like Robin.
They don't. I never cared about
I
him.
never gave a damn about Robin.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But in their studio mind, it was like, it's Batman and Robin. There has to be Robin in it. So then later, when it came to doing this, because Darwin Cook had already worked out a design for Black Canary, and then obviously Selena, when they updated her for the new animation, had the pixie cut and stuff, and looks pretty much exactly like the other lady with but they just added in some freckles. And the fact that Batgirl is literally going to them both, where's Robin? Is kind of like, it's almost like a little in-joke of like, oh, yeah, remember when we couldn't do Robin that time? Or we couldn't do that one episode with these two characters because they kept going, where's Robin? So,
Of course.
and these two characters also, they appear in the, as associates of the Oh no, they're just two of Batgirl's go-to like street people to talk to, because that episode with Roxy Rockets, when Batgirl and Batman are trying to figure out who the hell Roxy Rocket is. Like Batgirl's like, oh yeah, I got some people, and it cuts to these two characters. So apparently they're recurring. We call them snitches or
Snitches.
like a guy. Joker. That was a weird thing too. Was you used to get that in film noirs of like the guy, like the shoe shiner guy, who'll be all like, "What's the word in the street, Mac?" and all this kind of thing. And like, "Oh, I heard rumblings down here."
Yeah.
And then they did it in The Naked Gun. And then I remember I posted that on Instagram. And then I didn't realize the guy who does it, the guy who's like doing it to Leslie Nielsen, that's Joe Grafassi, who's the oh no, it's boiling acid guy from Batman Forever.
Our love-hate actor.
Yeah.
Yep, same.
Yeah, and then I was a friend of the show, Lauren Ashley Carter. She replies like, "Oh, it's Joe Grafassi. I know him. Like I've worked with him and stuff."
Yo.
And I was also like, "What? You know a guy from The Naked Gun? What? You know a guy from Batman Forever? What the hell?"
Yeah, no biggie.
You
Just
didn't
hang
get
out
him
with
on your
them,
show?
We
Come on, guys.
did not know until she told us during the Forever season, way after. She's like, "Oh, I know that guy, right?" And I was just like, if we had known that back then, we would have reached out to him. Now he's gone. Like, what the hell?
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Man.
But
Shame.
But yeah. So and these two. Like, I guess it is Gotham, so it's just like, well, why would two streetwalkers know where like this little kid is? But it's just like,
You gotta try.
Yeah.
You gotta try. So, they're getting desperate. It's been 3 weeks, right?
yeah.
well, exactly. Like, surely they've hit all the usual spots. So just you know what? Just ask everybody.
Yeah, take
Screw
a
it.
chance.
I think at this point, Bruce should really pay to just have cameras set up in every derelict warehouse, every old candy factory, every old funhouse, every iceberg producing.
I was going to say
warehouse.
that's a bit fascistic of you, Niall, but then that Batman kind of is sometimes.
That's the thing then too, when he's just like, oh, when we find out where Robin is, it's just like, Bruce, when Arkham was just lying there, of course someone's gonna hide out there. Why didn't you just put a camera in and be like, is anyone in Arkham?
I mean, it's practically Joker's second home anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I did.
You would think.
When we find out too, when they say like, oh, it's partially demolished, I was like, why partially? Like, was it just like,
What happened?
yeah, they got midway through and they're like, yeah, it's good enough. Just
It's good. We'll leave it.
I do really love the sort of in-world explanation for why there's now a new Arkham, though, because it doesn't sort of delve into it, but it basically tells you, yeah, because that old one wasn't very secure, was it? Like everyone kept breaking out. It happened every week.
So it's like,
Yeah, it
So
wasn't
I get
too
it.
great.
Let's make a new one.
it's just like, yeah, Bruce himself paid for an Arkham that's just basically like a cube. There's one door and the rest of it's just solid cement. There's no windows. There's no nothing.
My initial thought was, with his money and also the way my movie brain goes, I was like, yes, Bruce Wayne funded Cube 2, Hypercube.
Yes.
That would be a good place to put criminals in the Batman world.
I would love to see a version of Cube where it's just the Arkham inmates trying to get out of the cube, and it's just like, yeah, Bruce Wayne set up this, or it would be something like, oh yeah, he hired the Riddler to make him a new prison or something. It's like,
Oh, and he made the cube.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be great.
and then afterwards he's like, I didn't think you'd do this, Edward. It's just like, what did you think I was gonna do? Of course I was gonna make a cube that kills people. That's my whole friggin'
You
thing.
gave me $1 billion.
Incredible.
What'd you expect, Bruce?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, it'd be really good. Yeah, the Riddler essentially making a giant Rubik's Cube for Arkham inmates. So, yeah, but maybe Batman's in there with them or something. It's made this thing writes itself.
Wasn't that the story for a future Zack Snyder universe movie?
Was that the one Affleck was going to direct?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I thought that was just more of like it's just going to be Arkham Asylum, the game, as a movie. But
Right.
was there more to it where it was just like, oh, it's going to be like a intense hypercube version of Arkham?
Oh no. The cube part. That's not. I was just talking about the whole Arkham thing.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Although the
Would have been better.
Yeah. But yeah, again, just loves all the compositions going on here though, because
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did want to just bring emphasis to the one where this guy just gets thrown out of the glass, and you just through that window, and you see just the silhouette of Batman just hunched over a little bit, looking so aggro, and with just his eyes,
He's
piercing through.
completely consumed by darkness. There's no
good.
human element. There's no human chin there. It's like, no, he is now like nothing but a wraith. bat wraith going out.
Yeah,
I
I love that shot.
It's really good.
Yeah, I do I almost kind of feel bad for the guy though, because presumably he didn't know anything.
Exactly.
It's probably like 3 weeks of just like, do you know where Robin is? No, don't lie to me. Just throwing him through a window. Like, I don't know. What do you want?
Every bar in Gotham needs a new plate glass window.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, Batman would do that. He wouldn't care. Bruce wouldn't fund the windows. Nah,
No,
screw it.
Batman's keeping the economy going.
He kind of is in a weird, sick, twisted way.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I guess I don't know if they got a call to come find this box, or if they were just on patrol and eventually they found
I wasn't
the box.
sure either.
Yeah,
I see a big purple box on a roof. What the heck's that?
I assumed a call, but now I'm liking the idea they just find it.
I mean,
That's kind of cool. Maybe it's been there the whole time.
it's like a little Easter egg in the Arkham game that is Batman's life.
Right.
Yeah.
The Joker's been like, it's been there for 3 weeks, man. Like, I've been waiting.
No, but that's what took him 3 weeks. He had to do all the Riddler challenges to find it. And they're a nightmare.
And then he went over and he picked up the Mad Hatter thing. Now he has to do this whole mission first. Oh, God damn it. And Joker just sitting around, so he's like, I was literally just trying to, I was just going to hold the kid over a pool of acid, but now I've got all this time. I guess I might as well turn him into like a mini Joker or something.
That'd be amazing if he turns up and Joker's like, "It's been 3 weeks. Where have you been?" He's like, "I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. With the other quests.
Right.
I was leaving this one to the end."
Yeah, but to be honest with you, I work much better without the kid. Like, I don't have to worry.
Barbara's way more competent. I don't know what your problem is.
But again, though, I love little things like, again, Batman always going first, and then because, and I guess in his mind, he's now feeling guilty for Robin going missing.
Of course.
And then when Batgirl goes to approach the box, he has the arms out, like almost. I'm sure it's just a general like, don't go near it kind of thing. But it also feels like he's been extra protective because he's like, okay.
Oh yeah.
So I can imagine in this scenario, he's probably told her multiple times to go home. Like, it's just like, don't come out with me. And she's like, no. She would insist on going with him.
Yeah.
But he's probably
Batman way.
He's probably in his mind, I am doing this. I can't force you to stay home. But I don't want you part of this mission kind of thing because I'm worried about you because the damn kid's missing. So
Yeah.
You could be
It's all
next.
good. It's great. It's all great visual, movies are a visual medium, and it's telling the story in a very visual way. And you're catching on to all these, being able to catch on to all these little, acting details and all that sort of stuff is, it pays off, which is why these kinds of podcasts are fun, really fun.
And then we get we find out what's inside the Jack in the Box is a big weird.
Yeah, it's a weird Robin Jack in a Box.
Robin Jack in the Box with a straight jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a
it's
bomb
like,
in his brain.
Yeah. Again, you always,
Symbolic.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I never put that together.
Me
It's a
either.
clue.
sounds something like, I think it's a Robin toy because he kind of uses a Robin as a toy. But the bomb in his brain, it's like, yeah, that's totally what it is. He's like, it's a thing just waiting there to go off, and it's like,
Oh my gosh.
good.
You've actually completely changed everything.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing when they made this film. These people, I gotta say.
Oh, but no, that's another level. Maybe we're reading into it too much, and if we ask them, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
But no, that's amazing.
But that's the thing. Like, actually, when we had on Dan Reba last season, tying into one of the episodes in Justice League of Black Canary is about her when she used to train with Wildcat. And it's all about there's an underground fighting ring for metahumans. And in that episode, I remember seeing there's a guy who looks exactly like Arthur Reeves. And I was like, oh, that must be it was this little indication of that's where Arthur Reeves he recovered and he just ended up being another rich asshole going to these fights and stuff. Asked Dan Reba, is there any chance of that? And he was like, to be honest with you, no. We just reuse the same character designs a lot and stuff.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was also, too, Phil, I think I might have mentioned you elsewhere, but obviously Dan Reba directed a lot of Freakazoid, and then when you were on at the end of last season, after we'd already talked to him, you really pitched Freakazoid to me, and I've been watching it since, and it's amazing. It's so good. And now
I love this.
Now all I do is like, I'm just like, I had the guy there. I could have just been talking to him about Freakazoid the whole time.
You could have, and I would have been so happy. Honestly, like when you guys did that episode, sorry, this isn't about the minute, but when you guys did that episode, I immediately started listening to it. And the Freakazoid, and I just remembered, this is before I told you about Freakazoid.
We can always get him back for a Freakazoid special.
I think he would be up because Freakazoid's so just off the radar now. But it's so good.
It is.
But then I'm
so glad to hear that.
But I've noticed though, since with like, I love it now as an adult, but I've seen my friends' kids. They've tried to watch it too because I've been talking to them about it, and then they get frustrated because like,
why?
There's so much it's so chaotic. Like there's an episode where like every other scene they just cut to the opening credits of Animaniacs because the writers are going, we don't have any ideas, just put on Animaniacs instead and stuff. And then they'll cut into the next sketch, and then like the first season's complete chaos, and then season 2 really has the vibe that like Warner Brothers was like, no, you have to make this more sensible. Basically, it has to be like.
But did they though? I mean, the episode with the orangutan.
Yes. I had to send you the picture too when I saw it. They have a villain called Arms Akimbo. It's just this gangster with really long arms. And just holds his hands by side the whole time and knocks things over. It's like, and then Dan Reba directed that episode. I was like, if I known it was the guy,
if only.
It was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Get him back. Do a Freakazoid episode, a special Freakazoid episode. I mean, there's so much overlap with the Batman because it was started with Bruce Timm, and I mean, I guess Spielberg was working on that too, and Bruce Timm left it because he felt it was getting too goofy and he didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because that's the whole point. I
always
love this
was
show.
under the impression Bruce Timm was like using Freakazoid as like an outlet because he has to make a kind of structured superhero show all the time.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I got to go crazy with this. But apparently, no, he was like, they say that like he went on to do the Superman show because he wanted more of a traditional superhero thing. It's like, but you got one in Batman, so you can have your cake and eat it too, dude.
Yeah, what more do you need? You got Batman.
Yeah, because
close-minded.
And then there was an episode of Freakazoid scripted by Paul Dini, where Mark Hamill does appear as himself, and he gets all the Star Wars jokes out of the system that Paul Dini was dying to make.
One, right?
Fanboy, going up against attached himself. There's a villain called Fanboy who's just a fanboy, and he just won't leave Freakazoid alone. And at the end, he distracts him by going, "Look, it's Mark Hamill." And it's just Mark Hamill shows up as himself. And,
it is. It's so good.
And gets to do the whole thing like, "Oh, join me, Mark, and we can rule this galaxy as Fanboy and son." And Hamill's doing the proper no.
Yeah.
Oh. Anywho.
It's good. We sidetracked there. Sorry, Freakazoid's great. I'm glad to have someone did I essentially kind of introduce you to or encourage you to start watching it?
I think I'd seen the show as a kid, and I remember like, I remember Freakazoid was okay, and thinking like, I wonder if it would be worth. But then it was your passionate pitch.
Yep.
I was like, I should definitely check this out. And then within 5 minutes of the first episode, I was like, this is incredible. Like, why haven't I been watching this the whole time?
Excellent. So here we are a year later, and everyone listening gets an update on how Freakazoid went by and all that sort of stuff.
Turns out it's incredible.
But what's not incredible is what's happening to poor old Robin when we get to
yes, let's go back on target, stay on target.
Yeah. So we get the straitjacket, and Batman deduces world's greatest detective after all, Arkham. So yes, the partially demolished open wound, as Barbara Gordon describes it, as Arkham. Why wouldn't you just finish tearing it down? Like, what does it? I guess maybe
there's all kinds of like you have to get like permission from the local government. There's all kinds of red tape.
I think I would like to think that there could be like a Max Schreck-ish kind of business guy in Gotham. So Bruce is like, we're tearing down Arkham Asylum, and then the old one. And then this guy comes in and he's like, but Bruce, I won't do the impression, but
do the impression.
But he could be like, Bruce, tourism in Gotham would skyrocket if people could go to where all the villains lived. And so it could be they stop tearing it down because he's just like, well, you could have, and you think, I think in reality, Alcatraz is a place people go to.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, the old Arkham Asylum would be like a hotbed of people going, set up your stalls.
And you got all these colorful villains as well.
People deck out
attraction.
Deck out the Riddler's cell, and they try to make it all, you go there and people are like, it's so fake, it didn't really, Two-Face's cell wasn't really two colors and all this kind of crap.
See, I'm into this idea, but at the same time, if it was in the real world, Alcatraz is one thing, but that would be like exceptionally bad taste. If you're going to do like exhibits, here's the Joker room,
Yeah.
but, knowing he's murdered so many people.
Because there is like people are fascinated by serial killers. There's people like, and I think
No, they are, but
yeah.
there's usually, if you're going to do something like this,
Yeah, you
there's
get
usually
like murder
a
tours
long
and stuff.
period of time. Yeah, we get murder tours, but I don't know, like we've got the London dungeons, but that's all like old
Like,
stuff.
yeah, 19th century stuff, I
Not
guess.
stuff that happened like a year ago, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like you could probably go to like Spawn Ranch and stuff, and then people are going like, this is where the Manson family lived, and look over
That's
there.
been a
Yeah, but that
while
was
now.
still like 60 years almost, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, particularly just they've dealt with the idea. Obviously, it was part of Dan Waters' original script for Batman Returns. Was like, oh yeah, Batman's become like a merchandising hotbed and stuff. I keep saying hotbed now for some reason, but I genuinely think like I'm surprised it's not been. Well, they did do a thing in the comics where there's like Bat Burger, and you can get like the Joker salad and all this kind of crap and stuff. So I'm surprised. I would say. There could have been a plot line there where it's like, oh, they were going to tear it down, and then some other guy bought the property, and he's like, oh, no, I'm doing this up. I'm going to make this into, like, Gotham's Disneyland, basically. Like, people,
I can kind of see that because, like, Gotham is supposed to be, like, a really exaggerated reflection of, like, a metropolitan, like, decaying city. So,
Yeah,
There you go, yeah. It works. It'll work. It'll work.
And then we go into this whole sequence has been fantastic, but like I love everything about them going to Arkham, Batman just blasting through the gates, and then kicking the door open, and then just the sheer the switch in atmos of just how creepy it gets when you just hear Harley singing from somewhere in the building.
Yeah.
It's the choice of song, and it's just how kind of she's singing in a very like mild, happy way and stuff. And the thing it's talking about buying like a mockingbird because bird obviously Robin, but mocking because the whole thing
Oh, that's good.
is
That's
designed
Mocking
to
Batman.
and also mockingbirds. The thing of a mockingbird? Well, like it mimics the cries of it mimics the chirps of other birds, right? Is that the?
Oh, wow. I've never thought it would be this deep.
But
Come
then
on.
what the whole thing is like, yeah, I've turned your bird into being me, so he is now my mockingbird. It's like, and it's a mockery to you, and it's like it's so good.
yeah.
Every time you're saying this, though, Niall, it sounds to me in my head like you're being an English Cockney geezer. Oh, my bird.
Me bird. I wanted to say, is this in any way a reference? Maybe I'm just, pulling at whatever the idiom is, pulling at straws or whatever I'm talking about. But would this be a reference to Evil Dead 2 in some way?
Oh.
I never
Because-
thought of that, but yeah, that does have of course, a great.
They have the same song.
Yeah. It's like
Henrietta sings the same song in Evil Dead 2.
Oh, maybe. I think it's one of those ones. If you wish it to be, Phil, you can go.
I guess so.
You can put that up on the IMDb. It's just been like, yep, that's fact now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's what IMDb is great for. Really useless trivia that's kind of obvious and doesn't have any.
And it's usually repeted about 6 times in the trivia
Exactly.
section for some reason.
Right.
I was wondering though, like, because I actually looked in again to the song. One of my things of like with this tune is like everyone knows like the first maybe 2 verses. Do any of you guys know like how long the song goes on for?
No.
Or like what other? Because obviously it begins with "Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird." I try to look into the origins of the song, by the way, and it's just one of those things. It's like, oh, it's just an old Southern American in the United States in the South. Like it's
And
just
nobody
comes from
really
there.
knows where it came from.
Yeah, just an old folk song.
It's one of
that
those.
Eventually got recorded by someone in the 1920s, and then there you go. That's it now.
No, I'm actually interested there because I just naturally assumed all these kind of children's songs. I'm like, I reckon they're just English and they're ancient.
No.
Because we've got like a million of them and they all
Yeah.
sound like this.
Yeah.
But then so it goes from Mom's gonna buy you a mockingbird, and then does anyone know what the second gift offered to this kid is?
I always think Diamond Ring. Is that the second one?
It is diamond ring. Although why a little baby would want a diamond ring? Sounds like the mother's just buying that for herself, maybe.
I know.
No, Niall, think of the future. Think of the future. You can sell that and you can pay for college.
Yeah, well, then, talking about thinking about the future. Hey, John, think about the future.
Think about the future.
The next one, does anyone want to venture a guess for the third verse?
Oh, I'm trying to remember.
I think
Evil
I
Dead 2.
remember,
Hold
but I don't
on.
want to ruin it for the guests.
The diamond ring turns to brass. What would
Knuckles.
the Mama's gonna buy you some brass knuckles. No, it's a looking glass.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
it's in here. Yeah.
Yeah.
She says that. That's the last part of that. She starts saying that one as she puts the vase down and they come into the room.
But I've always wondered, is a looking glass, is it a magnifying glass? Is it a telescope?
mirror.
Is it a monocle?
Yeah.
Is it a mirror? Yeah, it's a mirror. Okay,
So
cool.
it sounds like it could be like an orb that you ponder, but apparently no, it's just a mirror. But then it goes into the looking glass gets broke. Mama's gonna buy you a billy goat. It's like, what's the baby gonna do with a goat?
What's it gonna do with the looking glass, though?
That's true. I guess maybe the baby it might enjoy just looking at itself. You know, like baby's just like, oh, it's another
Plus,
baby.
kids today are into like skincare and stuff. Maybe they're prepping the baby for that.
Oh, right, sure, yeah.
But then it goes. It just keeps going into like Mama's
It
gonna
just keeps going.
You're gonna buy you a cart and bull. Then Mama's gonna buy you a dog named Rover, and if Rover won't bark, Mama's gonna buy you a horse and cart. That's 2 carts. She got 2
It's already
carts.
2 cards. How rich is this woman?
Oh yeah, I've never thought about that. Hang on, yeah, why 2?
Yeah, two carts, and then it goes like if that horse and cart falls down, you'll still be the sweetest little baby in town, and that's the end of the song. But I just kind of assumed that it was going to be
That's
like
a disappointment.
Yeah, it just ends after that. Like it doesn't build to anything.
No, they didn't know how to end it. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I
we're done.
assumed it was either going to be like it'll just keep going on forever, and it's like there just is no ending to the song, or it will reach a conclusion, but it just sort of goes in this very repetitive linear fashion, and then stops. It just there is just no more of the song. So
Disappointing.
yep.
Disappointed.
But Arlene Sorkin doing a trip.
The marvelous Harleen Sorkin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Arlene Sorkin, rather. Sorry.
I really like all the shots on the way into Arkham too. The shot of Batgirl looking into the collapsed room is just, I don't know. I just think that's a really great little piece of animation. The way she passes from one door to the other and like the water is dripping in between. Very atmospheric. I love that about the Batman animated series stuff.
Yeah, they knew how to do that.
Their whole thing was always to like ebb in the horror direction. So at every opportunity, they'll make it as like James Whale-ish and gothic horror-y as they possibly can. I love it. It's amazing. And again, though, love everything about Batman's body language because like when he comes, there's no usual like slinking in the shadows and stuff. He just barges through that door, and everything about him is just like, I'm done. Like whatever you got planned, I have no time for whatever japery is about to come here. I'm tired. My son, was a Bernie Mac joke of like my son got shot. I'm sick of this shit.
True.
But he has that vibe of like I am done with whatever you have put me through the emotional rigor worrying about this kid. I don't have time for whatever crap this is gonna be. Little does he know how diabolical this actually is.
Yeah, how horrible it is. How harrowing.
But before you do find that out, I just think the whole setup is fantastic, though. Like, because again, it's fantastic the way they've got this all done up like a sort of 50s Americana vibe, nuclear family, all cute. Batman, as you say, is just like, no, I'm not entertaining this. Come on, let's sort it out, please. And they're just sticking with the bit.
Yeah, it's this thing again.
It's funny to me. I've always thought it's really like interesting that they always kind of have Harley and the Joker draped in that 50s like stuff, like that 50s like relationship.
Totally.
And then like clearly being such an abusive relationship. I just think it's a nice critique at the whole thing.
It's the whole thing of the honeymooners. The whole thing was like one of these days, Harley. One of these days, bang straight to the moon. Was bang straight to the chest in the next chunk actually for the Joker himself.
Yeah.
And in Mask of the Phantasm, Joker's even doing it when he's by himself.
That's true. This almost feels like if he knew that Batman had a real personal connection to what everyone was going on with the Phantasm. He's like, this is almost even more salt in the wound because it's just kind of this reminds him of the setup that last time we had that fight.
For sure.
Yeah.
Although this tonal thing, because Joker even comes to greet them, and even though he's being all sweet and cute and again 50s, it's dark.
Oh yeah.
Like something's not right here.
Something's up.
That's all in at the moment, of course. because like the Fallout show has a bit of that,
Oh,
because
yeah.
the games have it more heavily, but it's in the show.
Yeah.
So this is like all the rage, but this movie was doing it long ago.
The only
Yeah, and this
disappointment
is the
is
only
that Joker didn't bring. Oh no, Hazel blew up at the end of Mask of the Phantasm. She had the bomb in her. That's
Yeah.
been something that he had. He was like, Harley's just like, what do you brought this robot for, Puddin'? Never you mind when I need the robot for. Me and Hazel go way back. He went in there, he just found like her ear or something that he had left.
Yeah.
But it is so irritating in like the whole thing of like, what, you've called me here. Where's Robin? And like, Robin? Who's? It's just, don't go. I'm not got time for the shtick. Just show me where the kid is. It's like,
But it's like it doesn't even say there's no Robin here.
yeah.
Because that made me think this will only mean anything probably to English listeners or a UK base. I just thought of the League of Gentlemen. This is a local shop for local people. There's nothing for you here. When they're trying to kick out anyone from not in the village.
Yeah. Okay. No, I've no idea. I've heard of the League of Gentlemen.
It's twisted. It's a bit like this scene, in fact.
Yeah, it's old.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's a version of what people consider English villages to be like, but it very heavily in the old like Hammer horror vein. Like they make everything dead creepy. But yeah, let's say Batman. I guess it's because it's been that long. He's just like. And he is fried. Maybe he's just like he's kind of let his guard down a little bit here, because when Joker he just goes over to this corner, and then they're talking about like, oh, there's no Robin here, but maybe he's talking about our little Jay. And
oh no,
he's like, well, one, I love the little petty shove he does to Harley. Just no need to shove her. But
I was going to bring that up too. Yes, it's a very nice little bit of animation there.
It's like, didn't go for Joker, but he's just like, you get out of my way, god damn it! Like. But then the fact he does that, and then Harley just gets the drop on him with the rapping bazooka, which I'm assuming she has for Christmas.
Yeah.
For get through your presents in no time with that thing.
Yeah.
Mommy's little helper.
Yeah, but after like Batman again though, maybe it was the thing like when it was Batgirl, he's been very protective of like stay back from the thing. But when it's himself and he's just like concerned, he's not thinking to like I should watch my back around these two. So they actually get the drop on him. So
yeah, I'm surprised about that, because I was thinking, what if this was an actual bazooka and she just blew him to smithereens?
Yeah, totally.
But they would never do that.
happened.
That's breaking the rules.
That's also true. You're right. Yes.
But then
Not the point.
We get the reveal. Batgirl's about to take action, but then Batman does a little like nope, stay back. Good move. Just in a militaristic kind of way of just like make sure you're kept hidden while we evaluate what's happening here.
Yeah, keep watching my 6. It's fine.
Exactly. And then the Joker starts going into his whole spiel, and it's just like
Here it is.
yeah, that he's they're not getting any younger, and someone's gonna have to take over the mantle. And then
Oh man.
yeah, Harley
All
mentions
that.
that rather than going through the joys of
Of
childbirth,
childbirth.
we just thought you have a load of kids around, so we'll just take one of yours.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask real quickly, like, do you guys remember, because it was such a big thing for like the 1 month it happened, but remember like a year or two ago, Chip Zdarsky's was doing like a Joker comic, and there was an issue where the Joker was pregnant, and YouTube erupted.
I do not remember
What?
that at all.
What?
I have no memory of this.
It was one of those things too. It was designed to be goofy. I have no memory of this. It was designed to be like a one shot, like it's just a funny little story. But like YouTube being the way that it is at the minute, they were just like woke. They're making the Joker. He's pregnant? What's going on? And, the wokesters are at it again. And it was
As always.
It's those wokesters, I tell you. Woke, everything's woke around here.
Oh, and
100%,
it's because of a spell cast by Zatanna. That's really funny.
Yeah.
there you go.
Recurring joke of that series is that every issue would open with the Joker getting beaten up by a female villain and just been into it because he's just kind of perving on them basically.
Oh, okay.
And then she's outraged, so she casts a spell that makes him pregnant, basically. And it's the same Joker. And there's just one panel of the Joker, like what the hell? And then he brings in Dr. Phosphorus or whoever to like be his OBGYN. And it turns out at the end it's actually like there's a bit of Clayface inside. It spits up and then
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
he ends up like throwing up a big load of Clayface.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing too. 'Cause
I shouldn't think that's as funny as I do.
but at the end, the Joker then goes back to Zatanna with like the little bit of Clayface molded into like a little mini Joker, like what Robin's going to be in a second.
Oh, that is so weird.
Yeah,
So
but then
messed up.
but people were outraged as if this is like, what? And it's like, it was a one shot. Like, it was, and Joker, it's designed to be a crazy comic. What the hell's going on here? Like, why are you people?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just some weird nonsense. It's just some weird nonsense with the magic side of the DC universe. Like, whatever.
Yeah. And
That's so funny.
But it was so big for like that month, and then nobody talked about it. Like,
Yeah,
which
no,
is-
I've not heard of this. It's the first time I've been hearing about this.
Yeah, I just read a little blurb about it. It's like he gets into some kind of scuffle with Zatanna. She casts a spell at him that says, "No one will ever have your baby." And then he wakes up 9 months pregnant the next day.
Incredible.
It's just like, oh God.
Every time I come to this podcast, I learn about some new messed up comic issue. Of
I have a
Batman.
whole thing. Maybe we can get into it later about, because I looked into the Joker having kids, and there's a whole
Oh,
thing
boy.
about
All right,
the whole
man.
thing about the Joker's daughter as a character and stuff. It was a big thing in the comics for a while, and it gets weird. Like, it gets
Oh
weird.
yeah,
but
I'm sure it does.
we can
Well, Phil, you've got to go buy it now anyway.
but we'll get to that after we get to the elephant in the room, as it were.
Of
Yeah.
course, let's do it.
And-
This is
I love the
This is
way that
heartbreaking.
I like the way Harley Quinn is animated, how she moves through scenes. She's like a pinup model come to life, but then she just pulls out like a bazooka.
that's what I loved about Harley Quinn since when I was a teenager and stuff like that. I actually, Batman the animated series. Sorry, I don't want to derail this too much, but Batman the animated series for me was around at the right time. When in the early 90s when it premiered. I wasn't there for the early seasons, but 95, 96, I was kind of, or 94 rather. I was in the right age to be able to watch it. And I didn't see all the newer, when they went to digital, in the late 90s and early 2000s, I didn't really pay attention to it much because Pokemon was all in my head. But when I was a teenager, I actually watched the entire Justice League, the entire Batman animated series, all of it, at around 16, 17. And Harley Quinn was the one character that I really gravitated towards. And I think it was what you were saying, Norman, with that pinup model, but with a bazooka and then doing crazy things that, juxtaposed those two things.
Yeah.
It's there was that period of time though. I think now Harley, like the Joker, has been spoiled by overexposure, basically.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure,
But
yeah.
it was a great period of time.
the day, man.
Right,
Yeah,
Bruce
back in the
Timm's
day.
greatest creation, right? Harley Quinn.
Yeah, him and Paul Dini both, like, they both. Every time you look into Paul Dini's writing credits, anything that Harley appears in, he has like that on his IMDb, as he's really clung to like, yep,
Yeah,
that's
that's
me and
his
Bruce,
daughter.
man. We made that lady. But yeah. The curtain goes back,
Yeah.
and then we reveal what the Joker's done this time.
This Frankenstein
boy.
monstrosity.
Right? What he's done to poor Tim Drake.
Yeah, and it's I remember when I first saw this, like, as a, thinking, I remember this show, the show been scary at times and stuff, but I watched this when I'm like 13, 14 or something, around that time, and having a proper gut reaction of like, Jesus Christ. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
I
the
remember seeing
hell?
this for the first time too and being like, holy hell.
Yeah.
It's like, you think Jason Todd has it bad? Like,
Yeah.
Oh.
And the whole build of it as well, like when he gets up and he starts laughing, the way it builds, because it starts off initially, you're like, oh, is this going to be a bit silly? But the longer it goes on, it gets
Yes.
creepier and creepier.
think
It's a bit like those episodes of, a cartoon, I think, sort of similar to this, in this might sound insane, is Invader Zim.
oh, I love
Right.
Invader Zim.
Oh, Invader Zim.
Yeah, because it's like silly and stuff, but then it's like really twisted when you think, like, there's a whole episode where he's stealing people's organs and stuffing them into his body because he decided, he noticed that humans have more organs than his race. So he's like, okay, so more organs equals more human. So he's just got these organs that bloating his flesh, and he like burps and intestines fall out of his mouth.
That's
So
really
it's like, oh, Jesus.
That's just insane. Like, at the end of, there's a really morbid part of me. We've all seen The Fly, right, with Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And at the end of that movie, his plan is to like, oh, Gina Davis is pregnant with my kid. if all three of us go through the telepod,
Oh my
then
gosh, yeah.
we'll be more human than I am alone. And it's just like, there's part of me I was like, what would that have looked like? Like, what the hell would have come out of that?
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Disgusting.
Horrible.
it's like, what I use go through the telepod for the two other,
Just like, yeah, just like this, and like what you said, Jonathan, like just seeing Robin just continuously cackling with, and also like the design of the character with the pupils just always kind of never being in focus. And they're always like looking at two different
There's
directions.
a gradual development in that when he's first revealed, like when he's in the shadow, he's got like the big grin, and he's kind of got like very sinister, very jokery eyes in that like the animated series used to always show. You'd get like the Joker in his cell, and you'd always just have the grin, and then his kind of like shark-like dead eyes kind of staring out. It looks like that. So for a second, you're like, oh, maybe he's turned him like evil, but he's gonna be like a proper little version of Joker. But then as he comes into the light, his eyes kind of go glazed.
Yes.
And then it goes into like it's like a mindless laugh. It's not like there's just nothing there anymore. And the fact that it's like his pupil, it almost seems like they're pointing in two different directions. It's like he's really like, oh, this kid is broken. Like he's not that he's turned him to the dark side. It's like no, he's like destroyed him mentally. Like it's like it would take years to come back from this kind of thing.
It's heartbreaking when you see
so
it.
so horrible. Like it's really. I wonder too if there was any kind of level of like them going, oh, we have to do something. Because if you actually watch the show in like chronological order, by the time it gets into like the new Batman adventures, the Joker still the episodes are always really fun, but like he's always kind of Batman's always getting one up on him. Really, there's Mad Love obviously has like. Oh, Harley nearly kills Batman better than Joker does.
Yeah, right.
There's Beware the Creeper, where the Creeper kind of gets the one up on the Joker. Joker's Millions, where this old gangster kind of ends up humiliating him by like letting him think he's inherited all this money, and then he sends the IRS after him. And there's kind of like and then Batman's always going like, "Yeah, you're getting very predictable, dude. Like I can kind of tell." What the stick's gonna be, like that kind of thing. Right. Even the way he comes in here now, it's like, what's it? Oh, I bet there's like you got a robot dinosaur or some crap like that. Some stupid thing that you always do.
Hey, I love robot dinosaurs. I'll have you know, mister.
Yeah, but Phil Tippett, obviously the master of the robot. But
yes,
everybody loves a robot dinosaur. God damn it!
But then this feels almost as if this version of the Joker, after all that, just like I really do need to up my game. Like I've got to do something that's like so unpredictably heinous that it's like everybody's going to be probably like Jesus Christ, but what the hell
that's
was
the
that?
worst.
And so, like making this stuff like they without the constraints of like dealing with the like TV regulations or whatever, what they can do, like the Joker in all these animated movies is always significantly more unhinged than in the show.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
The thing is that because they did, obviously, we'll get into much more next chunk when all the big heavy censors came in.
That's right.
But they do like when he cuts himself out of the wrapping with the bat blade or whatever you want to call it.
The bat blade.
Like he flings it at the Joker. They cut that in the original release because they're like, oh, Batman flinging a knife at the Joker. No, that's too violent. Notably they kept the hole in the curtain behind him. So like at the time people were like, oh, is it just I guess it could just be like an age hole or whatever. It's just like old curtains or whatever.
Right.
But the thing is though, those censors can be like, oh yeah, that'll take care of things. Like if we throwing the knife, that would be too much for kids. But the most disturbing part's like 5 seconds before, just that shot of Robin's face with like the eyes going in different directions, and just
I know
that's way more disturbing than anything else.
It
that's
really is.
The censorship situation with television for children. I don't know how it is now, obviously, because I don't watch any. But back then. Every time I heard about it, it's always been so contextless. Like they don't like. There's no context to why you have to change or censor certain things. And I've always seen all these other like all the showrunners and stuff at the time just hating it, hating having to do that because it's so funny when you look at all of this stuff that they made. Most of it isn't even like that bad. But they always had to do changes for arbitrary reasons just because it was part of the rules.
Right.
Yeah. So it's always really just like there's too much like this needs to be that skirt needs to be 2 inches lower. All this kind of crap. It's just very like, oh, this we just have a set of standards. Like I have now, my current job is just like house rules. And no matter what it is, just like don't question the house rules. You just enforce them. Like
especially
sounds,
not in art. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't question house rules, especially when we're doing an artistic project
but then,
like Batman.
I sometimes wonder as well. I think we talked about it last season, where it's because at that point it was all the talk about the Caped Crusader, the new what was it, Amazon? It's going to now the Bruce Timm's new Batman show. They just
I
released,
believe so.
Wait,
over
what?
here at least.
they just released some images from it there the other day, where it's Bruce Timm's doing a new Batman show. Obviously,
No kidding.
Not in continuity, obviously, to this. Obviously, you couldn't now.
It's like 30s Gotham.
Very 30s Gotham. Clayface is going to be in it, but it's going to be like the
Interesting.
proper old school. He's not a shapeshifter. He's like a good scarred actor. They got a version of Harley Quinn that looks like she's like a kind of deadly weird sort of like she looks like she's got like a porcelain doll face, and she's like it looks like something out of like The Strangers or something. It's like a very creepy version of Harley.
And she works for Bruce.
Yeah, something
Interesting.
Yeah, so we'll obviously cover it when it comes out.
That's fascinating.
But one of the things is they're like, oh, then it just be Bruce Timm left off the leash. And sometimes I'm like, but the leash can be getting around the leash can be the best thing sometimes. Like
Sometimes
Yeah,
it can,
yeah.
absolutely. It makes you be more creative.
yeah, you have to
Restrictions
see it.
breed creativity.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
push it. Like if they had like I think even again we'll talk about it, the next chunk when it gets into like the really massive heavy sensors they did. But apparently Paul Dini's reaction when he saw the edited version was like, "Oh, that's better." Like, yeah,
Really?
he thought he's like, "Oh, I'd known that. We could have done that the first time." Yeah, well, we'll just gone with that instead, which I completely disagree with. But like, yeah,
Yeah,
for him to
I
be going like,
disagree.
"Oh yeah, put on the cuffs," like it'll make us get around the thing somehow, and he preferred it, But
Interesting. He's allowed his opinion. In fact, he's probably more allowed his opinion than we are.
yeah,
Right?
I guess so. Yeah.
He's done the work, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
done the work, done the time.
And then just so yeah, Joker. Well, the thing I love about this though, again, just in his relationship with Batman, and the reason he's done this as well, just the mentality behind it is like, okay, so he's got Harley. We all know the Joker doesn't really care about Harley. Like he's he's so dismissive of her and stuff.
What?
In like the like they did in the like, I never read these comics, but I looked into again the like variations on the Joker having children, and apparently in Injustice 2 or Injustice Gods Among Us 2, there was tie-in comics to that game.
Yeah, there were. Right, I've only played the first of the games, but I know there were definitely comics
Yeah.
of both. I believe.
And in that, they have a bit where Harley has a baby, like Lucy Quinzel, to the Joker, but she goes away for a year to have the baby, and then when she comes back, she's like, "Oh," come up with all these excuses of like why she's gone, and the Joker's like, "I didn't even notice you weren't here." Like he so doesn't care about her. So,
That fits though his character. He probably would just be like, "Oh, she's not around." Okay,
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
whatever.
Well, I'll build another robot. It's fine.
it's like, "Oh, Hazel." But what this feels like to me as well, it's so personal to Batman. It's not even about Rob. It's not about breaking Robin. It's about like it's me and you, Batman. And also like Harley being the mother is like, I don't care about that. The kid has no element. Like the kid's a mini Joker. He looks just like the Joker. There's no element of Harley Quinn in there. It's just like I have turned. It's kind of like the Joker going like, this is our son, Batman. You and me.
Yeah.
Like I've taken your son, I've hate him. My son, your son is now my son. It's like we are the couple here. Harley, whatever, she's in the corner.
No, she's not part of it now.
Again, too, like obviously in the future when the Joker comes back, he never mentions Harley because he just doesn't care. Like it's like,
Right.
I've got my own thing going on here, But and so I like that mentality of like, yeah, they're like the obsession with each other and stuff still even there. The Joker's done this, and it's more like Tim Drake is just collateral damage. He's like, I don't care about this kid. I care about getting to you, and I want you to notice me. It's very
That's so sick.
yeah. It is so much just like notice me, senpai. Basically, he's like Batman's not paying enough attention to me.
And that's like a big
Witness
plot point
me.
of this whole movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
When we
And
get
then
to the end.
that's how he breaks him in the end is just by just brushing him off basically and just sort of ridiculing him and stuff. And so then Joker then makes his little, again, not even with Harley, just makes his getaway. He's like, see ya. Just zooms off in the little the Frankenstein-y gurney thing.
Yeah, he does.
To be fair, it's a good strategy for the Batman. They're separating the opponents. They don't want them teaming up. teamed up, they're going to win.
Oh, I thought
Separate.
you meant it was a good strategy that he was going on that little Frankenstein.
Well, that-
I
too.
love the all the animation of him zooming around on that little remote control gurney.
Yeah.
Like just Mark Hamill laughing like a maniac.
I like to imagine that Mark Hamill was like, no, I'm a method actor. Like, I need to be going around the recording booth on one of those.
The big thing is that everyone else would be sat down recording. Mark Hamill always had to stand because he had to gesture and gesticulate and get into being the Joker and stuff.
I genuinely think that's important.
No, totally.
To voice acting.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Well, the thing I absolutely love though is like, so Batman and Joker go off, after each other. The classic scenario of Batman versus the Joker.
Classic.
And I really love this touch though of Batgirl going over to like her little brother essentially and been like, but she's still keeping up the facade of like Robin, like, and then when she realizes, it's just that little moment of being like, Tim, like you're kind of going like, oh Christ, something's really wrong with this kid. Like he won't respond to Robin. I'm gonna have to like really try to get to him here. And it's I just love that as a thing. Yeah, she has to break kayfabe or kayfabe, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, kayfabe.
Kayfabe. It's just like then to actually be like, oh, it's her version of the Undertaker throwing Mankind off the Hell in the Cell thing.
Oh my God.
You can see for the one time the Undertaker breaking character have been like, oh Christ, what have I done? And her having to be like, okay,
That's great.
Did I kill
masks
him?
off here, like, kid, are you okay? That kind of thing. So, and this kid, watching episodes with Tim Drake too, this kid's been through a lot. Like, he's like and talking again about the whole Joker throwing up a bit of Clayface thing. One of the most underrated episodes of the whole show, I'd say, revolves around Tim Drake Robin. That's the episode Growing Pains, where he meets this little girl who she's designed to look exactly like Natalie Portman in Leon, basically.
Okay.
And she's on the run from some mysterious man. She keeps saying, like, I see him in my dreams and stuff. It's all very haunting. I'm like, well, who is this guy? Batman doesn't know who he is, et cetera, et cetera. And at the end, it turns out that, like, she's part of Clayface. She was like a sentient part of Clayface that got away.
Why is it always Clayface?
Well, because you can do that with Clayface, I guess. And then Clayface's whole thing is like, I'm going to reabsorb this kid into me. And the episode's fascinating in so many other ways because he's just like, this little girl is part of me. And there's so many things. Clayface throughout the animated series is so heavily gay-coded. There's so many little things about him. Like when the origin episodes, the only person who cares about Matt Hagen is his quote-unquote friend who's there, who just is with him all the time. And if you read in between the lines, it's like, it's his partner. Like, this guy's his partner.
They're very good friends now. They're roommates.
And then the fact is that Clayface has, like, it's a little girl. That little girl is part of me. Like, she is within me and stuff. It's like, it's all very kind of coded. You're like, oh, they're trying to say with us here. But yeah, just at the end, like, the little girl realizes, she ends up having to, like, reabsorb herself into Clayface to save Robin.
Yeah.
After Robin's literally trying to kill Clayface at one point. Like, he actually has him on the ropes, is about to kill him and stuff. And at the end of the episode is Batman just been like, them's the breaks, kids. And then Robin is walking off, and you're like, this is like his third episode. Like, it's so
The kid didn't even reach puberty.
I mean, some of that's like just the tragedy of Batman's rogues gallery, right? Is Batman coming to terms with like, there's nothing that anyone can actually do to help these people.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, now you're part of my life. Oh, it's all good fun, Ben Robin. Actually, no, it's not. Like, it's
Actually, no.
like Dick Grayson really got off easy, to be fair.
Yeah.
And he went
Compared
through
to the
hell
other
as well.
two, yeah.
Apparently. Poor Tim.
But I would also say too, there's people, if you haven't seen that episode, Growing Pains, I've rewatched it recently. It's like, it's a real masterpiece of a.
Yeah, that's the episode that sticks in my mind. Sticks in Clayface in my mind the most. That's the one that I remembered the most. Because, like I said, I watched the entire show way back when I was 15, 16, 17, sort of, so on and so forth. And that's the only one that I really remember.
And I felt weird because I think Harley.
Not that the other ones are bad or anything.
No,
just saying they're amazing. Love them.
I think they kind of the Harley Quinn, the HBO Harley Quinn show. They kind of did a whole thing about Clayface's hand breaking off and becoming best friends with Jim Gordon and stuff. It kind of felt like it was a weird mockery of that episode. It's like, don't mock that episode. That episode that's a real masterwork of animation, man. What are you doing?
And that's a sweet moment. Stop ruining it.
Yeah.
Although I did find it quite interesting, how with the Joker fleeing here I don't say fleeing in triumph. Fleeing makes it sound very like you're
Cowardly.
scared. Yeah, cowardly.
I mean, he doesn't.
But, you know,
he doesn't want bats to beat him up. He just wants. He just wants to watch
yeah.
Batman get so angry that he feels no choice but to beat him up.
Well, and he kind of has done that because that basically, like, you know, Batman just follows him.
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite interesting because he doesn't grab Robin. He doesn't try and get him out of harm's way. He's like, I am going to kill you. Well, not kill. It's Batman. You know, that's touch and go.
I think he was gonna. I think
this might have been the moment he was going to do it. Yeah.
I think that was the. Yeah, again, it's all like. It's my mind, because my mind always goes to Masters of the Universe, the Dolph Lundgren classic. But like at the end of that, in the middle of Skeletor's whole end scheme in the climax, like you know, it's like he has a whole thing at He-Man where it's just like, oh, you know, banish your cursed face from my memory forever. You'll not stand between me and my destiny. And He-Man's is like, it's always been between us, man. Like it's you say it's your destiny.
Me
It's just,
and my destiny.
it's always it's just you and me. It's always just about you trying to get to me. Like, it's their whole big thing.
Yeah.
And again, that's the whole thing. But it's now just the focus is the Joker. It's just like Batman should theoretically scoop up Robin and then just flee, get out of there.
Oh no, but that's not happening. That's not happening in this case.
Now you made it personal, man. It's the whole thing of like, even how deep this would go into Bruce's mind too, because of course he was destroyed as a kid the same age. Like his whole thing with Robin was like, oh, I'm going to make sure you turn out kind of better than I did.
And he's failed.
Yeah, he did. Dick Grayson's still his kind of greatest triumph because him and Dick might have like their beefs, but he's like, yeah, through better or worse, I took that kid in, and he turned out great. And then now I'm hoping to do it with this other kid. And then the thing, my whole MO is like, no child should ever have to go through what I went through. And then my arch nemesis has done something even worse to this kid than just killing his parents.
Because there's no in the animated series, there's no Jason Todd in between Tim Drake and Dick Grayson, right?
No. This feels like this being their version of like the crowbar, basically. Yeah. Like they could finally do a because there's a lot of Jason Todd in the Tim Drake in the show, right? Again, like in that Growing Pains episode, he's about to kill Clayface. Like that's a very Jason Todd vibe, like,
right?
But and this is like, oh, we can't do that. But again, it feels worse. It'd be like, oh, so we can't have him beating him to death with a crowbar.
This is a fate worse than death, right? Like,
yeah, but what?
Much worse.
Much worse. Basically, like warp this kid's mind so he'll be alive, but it's a state of kind of like eternal trauma. It's like
fine.
Which does bring us back to the conversation where we talked about how censorship kind of can breed different creative outlets. Like this, where instead of a crowbar, you got this, and this was on TV for kids, and it's much worse.
Yeah.
And more interesting.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to hear about some notes about the Joker's daughter, the character, or should I leave that for a future chunk? Because it gets wild, man. Like,
do you?
People have an outdoor anything. They want to get out of here. Like, it's fine.
No, I'm good. Go.
No.
Well, it sounds like you've got about 6 hours worth.
No. But I'll tear through it quickly because I went down a little rabbit hole though because I was like, oh, Joker having kids, that's bound to be done. Not really all that much, but there was a major character for a while called the Joker's daughter. And her actual name is Duela Dent, which is kind of giving away who she really is. Introduced in 1976. In the Batman annual, whatever the hell kind of thing. But the front cover has Robin falls for the Joker's daughter, and she's like a Robin nemesis basically. But the thing is, the design of her is basically the Joker with boobs. That's all they've done.
Okay, that sounds hot.
Yeah, back in the day,
yeah, she's got like the little like Lolita style like top hat and stuff, right?
Well, the thing is, later on, the original design was just the old 1970s Joker with boobs.
Oh,
incredible!
Yeah, modern like her current design is like almost kind of steampunky.
Yeah. Oh, they do. Well, they did improve her quite a bit. I'll say in terms of just like how cool the design was. But and then one of the big things is like Robin can't beat her up because it's a girl, so I can't punch a girl.
She's a girl.
I gotta call Batgirl. Batgirl will take care of this for me.
You see, like this chunk, Batgirl whooping the crap out of Harley. Like
that's the smoothest animation in these 5 minutes too. Is Harley and Batgirl just beating the crap out of each other.
It's one of the fight is actually one of my favorite bits as well. I love these two.
Yeah, it's good.
I was going to make a really bad choice of words there. I was going to say getting it on. These two going at it. I don't know. I'm trying to be nice.
Calm down there, hot
It's a
chocolate.
semi-PG show.
Smashing each other.
Wait
No,
a second.
You know what I mean.
It's just some very heavy girl-on-girl action. That's all we're trying to say.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Like, and the sound effect for the punches is just so intense.
Yeah, but
That
it
girl
also
is
feels too like
really hitting her in the face real hard.
Yeah.
No,
It kind of felt like with Mask of the Phantasm, like, oh yeah, getting Batman to bleed and Joker getting his tooth knocked out. It's like, oh, we kind of got that out of our system, but we've never had like two women be able to really wail on each other. So that's the thing we couldn't do on TV. Let's have a full on like bitter fist fight going on here.
Right.
Oh, so was that taken out on the TV?
That was
version
also
too?
cut. That was all cut down as well.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's just a fist fight.
Yeah. But it's two girls.
And that seems to be a big thing, especially on, as an outsider, it seems to be a big thing on American television. They're not as bothered about it over here. But even if in like a video game there's any kind of violence like that, you see people online going, oh, I don't know about that. That's a bit wrong.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Us in America,
okay.
a lot of Americans get really bent out of shape about it. But like, I watch wrestling, so like, whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
same here, and you see it though in wrestling stuff online. Like
Sometimes,
if there's ever, because I watch a lot of independent wrestling, and there's a lot of intergender matches. If you even hint at that on any of the bigger promotions, people are like, "No, we don't want that." No,
Yeah.
It's-
People get really
geez,
weird about it,
calm
but
down.
like, it's all kind of quote unquote fake anyway. So like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
it's a show.
and some of the
it's
best,
like a stunt show.
and there's
you
some
know?
real good stuff in the past. Like even in the big promotions, that was intergender stuff. Like I loved the China and Jeff Jarrett stuff. Like when they actually had a match.
Classic, loved it.
Yeah.
Although that's one of the reasons he left, I believe.
Yeah, well, screw
Because
him.
he didn't want to do it.
Screw him for wanting to not do that. Chris Jericho also committed to the bit when he had that feud with China too.
Exactly. See, it works. These people are weird.
Yeah, people are weird. Like, just get over it.
Get over it. I
Yeah.
could understand maybe if it was like MMA.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it
that's
doesn't
a
work out
slight-
great. Like, there's that kind of infamous match with what's his name? He's that bitter old man. He wrestled in AEW some
Ric Flair?
Suzuki
Oh, it's-
and Asuka.
Wait, who
with
was it?
it was Kana when she was still Kana. She wrestled Minato Suzuki. Is that his name?
Oh, Minoru Suzuki.
Minoru
yeah,
Suzuki. I remember reading about that not turning out so well. Like they really kind of beat the hell out of each other.
Both of them are tough. That's why they don't care. They'll do it.
Yeah.
And speaking though about weird censorship things or real weird rules that are enforced, so obviously in the 70s in the comics, obviously the comics code's still going strong, but they have this character of the Joker's daughter running around, but she'll show up in different issues as the Riddler's daughter or Clayface's daughter or Catwoman's daughter and things like that. And so then they're going to be the big reveal, like whose daughter is she really? And the big reveal is, and you can probably get by the name Duela Dent, is that she was Two-Face's daughter in reality. And the reason behind it was amazing to me, because obviously, again, this is in the 1970s, but the creator said, like, it didn't take too long to decide whose daughter she would be. After all, Two-Face was the only villain who was married. And Comics Code was like, you can't have a out-of-wedlock child running around here. So she has to be Two-Face's kid because he's got a wedding ring, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, and,
See, we wouldn't even think about that now.
No.
and then eventually over time, she kind of befriends Robin, and then she becomes like a hero named Harlequin. She's actually she's the first, not Harley Quinn, Harlequin.
No.
And then she becomes the Card Queen, and then Crisis on Infinite Earths happens. She's blasted out of existence. And then in the post-Crisis version, they brought back a version of Harlequin, but she was like a schizophrenic who would switch between personalities. So that's why she'd be the Joker's daughter. Now she's the Riddler's daughter, et cetera, et cetera. And then that version would turn out to be the actual daughter of the Jokester from Earth 3, and her mother was Three-Face.
For God's sake.
What?
And all that stuff just like, yeah, you needed like these crisis events to get rid of all that kind of crap. Like, well,
Yeah.
really-
I know some people are into it, but no, it's not for me. I can't be bothered.
just seeing the name Three-Face was just like, nope.
Yeah.
We've gone a little too far
I
there.
always think it's funny with like anytime they do like alternate Earth stuff in DC, like they always show you an alternate Earth where there's like the jokester or like a good version of the Joker, and then that character always dies immediately.
Oh yeah.
It's just like no,
Can't
not
have
allowed.
that.
But then in the
No.
in the New 52, they brought back the concept of the Joker's daughter, and they went really hard into like this was a period of time where like the stories were good, but it was trying too hard to me because remember there was a period where the doll maker sliced off the Joker's face.
Yeah,
And the Joker would wear his own face like it was a leather face kind of mask.
Oh yeah.
And then at one point, Dula Dent is like a homeless woman living in the sewers. She finds the Joker's face because it's one of my favorite YouTubers, Casually Comics, Sasha. She talked about it at one point. She says like, yeah, it was like the sisterhood of the traveling Joker face, which I thought was really, really funny. Cause,
yeah, his face like shows up in like the Joker's face shows up in a Suicide Squad comic around that time too.
yeah, so because then Harley's dating Deadshot at the time,
And
then
she has the face and she puts it on Deadshot.
yeah. That's part of like why they break up is because he's just like creeped out by it. And so
Yeah,
it's like,
but like that's so messed up, Harley. What are you doing?
yeah, it's properly
Yeah.
insane. Dude, like, shouldn't this face be like rotten? Like,
Right?
Did the chemicals
like-
preserve it or something? What the hell's
Right?
going on?
Yeah. you
Let
could
me
use it.
let me literally put the face of my abusive ex-boyfriend over yours, and then let's make out.
Ew.
Yeah.
Considering I'm not into like a lot of gore, that's the kind of thing I do find funny somehow. I don't know why, but if I saw it if I saw it in a movie, I wouldn't like it. I don't know what it is in my brain. In like a comic or something.
I think
Fantastic.
at that point, I think I like the stories they did. 'Cause that's all the Scott Snyder stuff with the Joker and that like Endgame and stuff. I like all that, but the whole thing of him wearing his own face was so like, oh, you're trying too hard. That's all like,
Yeah.
oh, he's killed like 5,000 people. It's like the animated series made him a sinister villain, but he could be really goofy and stuff as well. You didn't have to like have it be all blood and guts and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then there's
Yeah.
like like there's the Joker that was killed. He got shot in the head, and then he crawled his way out of hell, and like thinks the Batman killed him. That whole thing.
Yeah, it just goes to, and then it goes in all the Batman who laughs and all that kind of stuff. And it's like,
No, but Batman Who Laughs was good the first time, but they realized people liked it, so now he's come back 5,000 times, and it just gets
Right.
worse
now
each time.
he has his own
far.
comic and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's it about? It's like about him killing and torturing people. It's like,
Yeah.
this is I guess I like Hellraiser, but I don't want. You're getting your Hellraiser in my Batman over here. Like,
Yeah, exactly. What are we doing here anymore?
Which again, fine as a one-off. You don't make a whole thing out of it.
Yeah, pregnant Joker,
Pregnant Joker,
all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
It was perfect. Just did that one shot, and then
Yeah.
I'm sure it made a lot of outraged YouTubers a lot of rage click money. And then,
Probably. Sadly.
Yeah, that's the sad thing. They know what they're doing. They're not stupid.
Unfortunately.
the whole thing is like that's the transformation of Russell Brand was like, oh, he went from sort of a very left leaning political kind of like a meditation guru guy, and now he's a right wing nut job. Like it's because that's where the money is,
Right.
He's been
Needs
canceled.
the money to
so
keep the lifestyle he already got. You know?
Yeah, he's been
Exactly.
canceled because of accusations of this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, how do you get past that? Oh, you cater a right wing audience who don't care. So, and then you say you do whatever they want you to do. But yeah, Dula in the New 52, then she ended up getting Joker's face sewn onto her face and stuff, and she's going around.
And then
calling
Joker
herself-
had to come get it, you know?
Yeah, and she's going around and did like I think it might have been pre-Suicide Squad, but she had all the ha-has tattooed over her body and stuff, and it was very try hard and stuff as well. But something about the character does endure in some ways. The thing is though, she's always like, oh, it's the Joker's daughter. She's not the Joker's daughter. She has no. I'm thinking that though, she wanted a biological connection in the New 52, so that's why she sewed his face on, and that's why she wanted to get his blood to inject it into her blood. So she would be the same blood as the Joker and all this kind of stuff.
That doesn't matter, Niall. Found family. That's what's important.
Totally. And then, they do something like that with like the Jokers in the Batman Beyond, verse of it all.
Oh yeah.
But there's a whole like we maybe not now because we made you guys sit and talk for long enough, but like a whole thing about like the cult of the Joker in modern media because
I find
it's
that so interesting. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder how much, like, this is before Batman Beyond is before like the internet really like was super blown up in fandom in that way. But I wonder if some element of like the like Joker gang is because they already like could see how much there was like fan worship of the Joker, and they kind of wanted to poke at it, you know?
And then just all the thing too
Definitely.
about like Heath Ledger's Joker is so influenced by like Tyler Durden in Fight Club, and
Yeah.
then he obviously became kind of a weird cult leader, and then now it's kind of like, oh yeah, in Todd Haynes's the Joker movie, this whole thing is like, yeah, he's like the spokesperson for like the downtrodden and stuff. He's kind of catering his own Project Mayhem kind of guy behind him and stuff. It's like, it used to just be a clown guy. Like, you know, we flung razor sharp cards and stuff. Like, it's weird that it's evolved into this, like, oh, he's like a socialist icon. A socialist icon, but also kind of for like the right wing as well. It's like, what's happening here? What happened to this character? But anyway,
So wild.
But yeah, so that's the end of the chunk. Is just Harley and Batgirl wailing on each other. Harley does a little like, I think it might be next chunk. She goes, go get mommy's bazooka.
No, she says that during this chunk. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She does indeed, because that's a fantastic line. I absolutely love it.
Go get mommy's bazooka.
And the minute ends in with it kind of cuts back to the Batman Joker chase, but it's like I love that the strike of lightning, and then it all goes quiet because it's setting up for what's coming. And the Joker's whole thing is like, I think his whole thing is like he even had his path programmed in for that gurney, because it's like, oh, I'm not running away from Batman. I'm getting Batman to where I want him to be because I want to show him this film I've made.
Right.
Which is so messed up.
Well, that's exactly it. There's me earlier saying he's fleeing, but when I said, well, he's not really fleeing, that's kind of what I mean. It's not that he's terrified and running for his life. It's like, no, next phase.
Oh yeah, it's just like, oh no, it's like, I want to get a little bit of cardio in, and then
and then Batman's of course like, but Barbara's on the scene. You can take care of the kid, right? You're a woman.
Yeah.
Ha, sexist.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's in the Harley and Ivy episode. There's an episode where like Harley's very like put upon by the Joker. Shocker. And she's like, I remember she's desperately driving a getaway car, and Batman's in the Batmobile behind them, and the Joker's like reclining in the back, and he says something like, oh yeah, this is the life, like the Batman on my heels and a fresh load of stolen money. Like, he loves the chase. He's just like, this is the life now, and this guy's after me. I love this so much. So again, he's like, I could show him the movie straight away, but I want to get a little chase in, a little foreplay.
You gotta tease him.
Just a tiny one, a little smidge.
A little bit of foreplay before we get to the main event,
Batman secretly loves it.
Secretly, not so secretly. I don't know. There's another little piece of like the animation here that I really love too. I've just had the 5 minutes on loop the whole time we've been talking.
Same.
And when Joker goes over that fake wall and Batman just goes through it chasing him, I think is a great little piece of like visual storytelling too.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
No patience,
I
just
totally
right
agree.
through this facade.
Yeah, all bets are off.
Yeah.
here.
Not playing the games. He's not about it. He's ignoring all of this superfluous like set dressing that Joker has set up. He doesn't care about any of it today.
Again, there will be little things like that, like Harley being like, "Are you wearing a new tie for Batman?" Like, do you think he'll notice? Do you think he'll note
loves
the
it,
little
really.
picture I put up there of like me and you, like looking like we're a happy family and stuff? Because that's kind of funny, right? But yeah. Does anyone else have any further notes for this chunk, or for Return of the Joker, or Batman Beyond in general?
Nothing here.
I think I do, but Norman, if you have more thoughts, I'd love to hear them.
About this stuff in particular, not really, but like the movie as a whole, I really enjoyed revisiting. I haven't seen it in a while, but I had a lot of really good memories of it. And I mean, it's 70 minutes long. I think it's worth pretty much anybody's time to seek out and find. I didn't happen to have a service where I could watch the movie legitimately, but it was very easy to find online.
Yes.
Yeah, very easy to find.
Incredibly easy to find.
If you know what we mean.
Yeah. It was just 70 minutes. It's really fun. I really like Barbara Gordon as the commissioner in Batman Beyond as well. And I've always liked that Batman Beyond gives her like kind of a ending to her story that isn't horrible.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
She does seem very grouchy, but then I think that's just being a commissioner. Every commissioner everywhere is grouchy.
Eventually, they end up being great.
It's part of your commissioner training.
Right.
They're like, right, we've got to get the grouchiness into you. Come on.
Yeah.
You got to be gruff.
I know it's just fun, like all the ways the Batman Beyond kind of plays with like how it references back to the original series and stuff. Like Barbara being the commissioner just feels like an interesting evolution of Barbara as Batgirl.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how did this
Yeah.
happen? She went from being a vigilante to just being the commissioner, and she became commissioner at a point where Batman was still active fighting crime. So, like, what was that like in that little period of time?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Cool,
Yeah.
There's so many little things. Yeah, I always love doing too. It's just like if you know, like this episode is obviously because Bruce is out of commission, and then Terry has his own. He has his own like electric guitar Batman music. But
Oh yes, the music for Batman
incredible.
Beyond.
yeah,
is-
but then you'll get like
yeah.
an episode where there's one where I think was Ink breaks into the Batcave, and Bruce has to suit up into like a big mecha suit kind of thing. And as soon as he comes out, then you just get wailing on the electric guitar, like, bow, down, down, down. It's like, there's the old theme, we're doing it. And you're like, hey, here we go, baby.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's fun about this flashback. They changed the music, right? It's more like classic Batman animated series when the
I've noticed, though,
flashback
throughout the
happens.
entire movie, they never play the Shirley Walker Joker leitmotif.
I wonder if maybe they didn't have the rights for it at the time.
Yeah, it must be something, because it feels like here you would be like, in this scene in particular, like in Mask of the Phantasm, they kind of did almost like a sitcom-y vibe on it. When like Sal Valestro arrives in, they have
did,
the,
right? Yeah.
the music plays, and then it kind of goes like, bwah, 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 like it's like a I Love Lucy episode or something. And it feels here like you should have like a twisted little Robin Joker. You could have a proper like slow piano version of the Joker theme that would be really chilling. But yeah, they never touch on it in the movie. It's so strange that Christopher Carter, I don't know, he obviously loves Shirley Walker. He credits her with his entire career, So,
Yeah, man. Shirley Walker's a genius.
Another reason maybe to not use the Joker's leitmotif in this movie is because of the reveal that the Joker in the story is not the Joker really. It's like not the same. So like I wonder if not using it was them like kind of being like, well, it's not really the Joker. We're not really doing the Joker here. It's something different is going on.
Oh my God, I love that idea. That's great. It's
Possibly.
another hint. It's another clue to think,
No, I mean, I just wanted to say I think Batman Beyond is a really great and creative endeavor, and the fact that it wasn't spawned from any comic books is telling of how great that. I mean, I mentioned that at the beginning of us talking about it, but there's so much potential with this, and the fact that there's nothing that has been done practically since then. I'm sure there's been comics and so on and so forth, but I really do feel like there's so much more you can explore with this than you could, let's say, going back to Bruce Wayne Batman, because it's been told so often, right? And I'm not saying you shouldn't do any more Bruce Wayne Batman. Obviously, I mean, it's still there. It's still versatile, and there's people still making interesting stories out of it. But I think that there's so much more you can do within the avenue of Batman Beyond than people give it credit for, really.
did everyone do the plugs? I can't remember. We went on a side.
We didn't know. Hi, I'm Phil. I was in every season of Bat Minute, which is bragging rights. I mean, come on. And I do, at the moment, it's digital art, baby. So you can follow me on Twitter on, it's just my name, Phil Dragash. Go to my website, also my name. Very easy to find me, I think. We'll see what I'll do next. That's probably all I can say. Or you can listen to Matrix Minute.
You're a multi-talented artiste.
Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that.
Yeah. And I'm Norman Mitchell, and I was one of the hosts of Lord of the Rings Minute when we did the extended edition of those movies 1 minute at a time. There's like 750 episodes of that to go listen to on Dueling Genre.
700. I didn't realize it was that many. God almighty.
It's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many. There's so many episodes of Lord of the Rings Minute. And aside from that, I mean, on the Dueling Genre .com Patreon, me and Cass also reviewed all of the Studio Ghibli movies directed by Hayao Miyazaki and a couple of the ones that he co-wrote. As for myself, I also, in my intervening time, since I stopped doing that, I started writing Pathfinder First Edition, like third-party RPG books, which you can find if you I did a work with Legendary Games on a couple, and if you search my name, Norman Mitchell, on the storefront on drivethrurpg.com, you can find books that I worked on, including ones that I did under my own like production company with a buddy of mine. Just some third-party RPG books.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
So go check those out too.
That's sick.
Oh, we never have exciting plugs. We just have the same ones every time, don't we now?
Well,
we
then
need
again,
to come up with new ones.
Well, you guys are in every episode.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but so we need to come up with new ones even more so.
We have the entirety of Miami Minutes is out now, and we'll be working on a new show.
Amazing.
That's true. That's true. Listeners, if you like the movie Miami Connection, which you should do, but it has nothing to do with Batman at all, really, go and listen to our other show, Miami Minutes. We'll have finished by the time you hear this. It'll all be done. Well, we're going to do bonus ones every now and then, but the actual meat of the thing, done.
Congratulations,
dusted. You can listen to it all in one go.
I mean, all of you have been doing movies by minutes, like on a mammoth scale. And here I am with my little Matrix minute. We just did one movie. It was 218 episodes, and we didn't have the strength to go on.
That's because you're sensible.
Yeah.
That's what we should have all done.
Yeah. And I just wanted to bring one more thing up. I'm watching the credits for Batman Beyond, and just to wrap it all up, when I was talking about Joe Pancake, I found a name here on copying and shipping. Someone called Star Worth. Star Worth.
I like that. I like that name.
Star Worth, episode 1.
Yeah.
The copying shipping menace.
Well, if you want to talk about Star Worth, come to our Facebook, the Bat Minute Listeners Cave. We're also still, as of airing, we're still on Twitter for some reason. Logistical reasons, I think. We don't want to be on it, but we have to be. Instagram, The Bat Minute. And check out our network, Sleepy Charlie Media, on Patreon for bonus content and TeePublic for merchandise. We will see you again in 1 week. We'll have Chunk, what are we on now next? It'll be Chunk 9. Jesus, that'll be like minute 41 to 45. But we will be back in 1 week for more exciting Bat Minute Beyond.
Next time, shot through the heart, and you're to blame. Joker, you give love a bat name. A matriarchal madcap sets bombs with a dynamic dare doll as Batgirl vs. Harley ends with someone taking a fall. Meanwhile, movie night in Arkham elicits all kinds of feels as the Joker presents the bat with a sinister sizzle reel. The gloves are flung off as familiar feud between foes searches its bona fide finale. But as a conquered crusader beholds a broken Robin and things start to go dark, could it be that Bruce won't be the only one leaving with a broken heart? A recollection concludes with the bang. In our subsequent commentary, kids, same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.